question. So the first question was around how do you harness this entrepreneurial ability that maybe everyone has, and there's a combination of academic backgrounds and experience. How do you harness maybe being in a position where you want to start a business but you're too afraid, you don't know you have the skills? Maybe speak into that a little bit of how do you, so maybe if that stuff, so you going to the Sheraton and all these things, it looked like something that came naturally to you, a go-getter. If you maybe on the surface don't feel like you have those skills to even succeed in a very challenging environment, say like Ethiopia, how do you find
Okay. All right. I think probably how do you know you have the competencies to run the different types of a business, or even if you're an employee. Maybe I will define what is competency, and entrepreneur is one of the competencies that you should have. Competency is not what you do, competency is how you do things. So basically your ability to negotiate, your ability to network, your ability to solve problem, your ability to manage your time, your ability to motivate other people to go beyond are the skill sets that you need, whether you're employed or you are an entrepreneur. This is it. This is what you have to ask. When I started my business, I knew my business required negotiation skills and networking, and that is where I developed it. And there are other business may not require negotiation and networking. Like my sister is a chef, an Italian chef, and she's very good in her food. So she really doesn't go out and negotiate with people and say, come eat my pasta, because she concentrated on the quality of the things. So for her, competency is the quality of the production, not really convincing people to eat her pasta. So you have to know what are the competencies required in order to do this business. I need to know your business in order to say you really need these things. For my business, it is a people skill, and I did not have a lot of money, so I had to rely on my convincing ability and on my negotiation ability in order to make it happen. Yeah, thank you.
I think we'll only take one question each for the sake of time. Let's go, gentlemen with the glasses. So this is a question that comes up quite regularly every month, which is around work-life balance. What does that look like for you, work-life balance? Is it 100% work? Is it 80-20?
Is my wife around? No, she's not. Okay, good. Yeah, I spend a lot of time. Look, this is a very tough question you're asking. This is a very, very tough question. Luckily, I love what I'm doing. So it is like a ritual process for me. And really, if you really want to torture me, make me stop working, then I'll go crazy. I travel quite a lot. I travel like about 60 times a year. Like every week I'm on the flight. I do so many things. I work long hours, but there are things that I do that I don't compromise. I don't compromise a movie night with my children if I'm in town. Every time that I'm here, I spend the time with them. And I'm at the moment, I make sure that they enjoy me. And I turn off the mobile phone when I go home, and I try to be that. Have I been disciplined? Not really. And I always itching and looking at my phone. And they always try to remind me, Baba, it's a family time, don't do this. It is very tough. What makes it tough? I know it is a cliche. I mean, people say balance work, you have to do that. But the problem is excellence. If you want to become successful, you have to do excellence. And excellence requires a lot of work. And many of you are a student, you know this. Getting a C in a class, you only require to be in the class, and you will get a C, really, if you attend the things. And if you want to get a B, and if you just do all the homework, you will really get a B. But getting an A is totally a different story. Totally a different story. The jump between B and A is very, very tough. And in the business, excellence, it takes time. And people will say, no, we can do both. But if you do both, then don't say I want to be number one. Just be complacent and be happy with what you have. But ambitious and excellence are required, because excellence means, you have to remember this, excellence means you do things every time right, every time right. You do it right. It does not mean you do things almost right. Because if you do things almost right, like that's almost right is like, if you do almost right, you get an A minus. In business, if you do it almost right, it means failure. A minus doesn't work in a business. You got to get an A. So you want to do excellence, you want to become number one, then I'm sorry, it is going to be very tough to do the work in life. But you have to make that decision. You have to make that decision. Many of the people who have become successful, you ask them the question, so are you happy? Well, I wish if I had more time with my children. I wish if I had more time this. I wish if I had things, because it's very tough. It is like the Coca-Cola CEO said, life is like a ball. You have 5 balls, and you're juggling them. And soon you will realize your job is made out of a rubber ball. If you drop it, it will come back. Your family, your health, your spiritual, your friend, made out of a crystal glass. If you drop it, they will never be the same. You have to make that decision if you want to go into the business.
Very Okay, great. So you're speaking to a millennial group here.
Yeah.
20 years is a long time. We want things quick. So in this idea of hearing about the long game, if someone is thinking about wanting to succeed, what sort of time frame should they work towards? I'm sure there's pillars of landmark moments, but how would you speak into time frames of wanting to succeed?
Okay, all right. The last question is very easy. No, we only have jobs in Kenya, we don't import the jobs from Ethiopia to Kenya. So the website in Kenya is jobs for Kenyan people. Okay. Yeah, the 20 years is long. If your question is why didn't you sell your company, why didn't you go, I don't know. But I think we've been growing year after year and year after year. Our success could have been declared a long time ago. So we are in this business for 20 years. Actually, we want EthioJobs to be for the next 50 years, 60 years. So that was it. But I don't know what you wanted to achieve. If you were saying, I want to start an entrepreneur, I want to start a business, and then I want to sell my company in 3 years, or I want to go, it's a different story. I mean, in Ethiopia, it was not very easy to sell your company. It's not like we can go IPO. We had an exit strategy, but we're working on that. But you're right. But if you just look at it, it took us 20 years to be successful. I think we'll be successful from the beginning, but we concentrated growing and growing and growing. But if the benchmark was different, we can talk about that. But for the young people, yeah, you want to have a business, then you're going in and you stay, okay. And do you want to sell your company, grow it and sell it? That's a different strategy. Or you want to remain in the business and keep growing it? That's a different strategy. You have to define what success means. I cannot define what success is. You have the ability to say, I define what success means. I define what happiness means. You have to define it, and you have to stop on that. Then if you let other people define it, then it's just going to be a problem.
Really? I don't want to neglect upstairs, so I'll give one question to anyone upstairs that might have a question, and then with the internet shutdown, does that mean your business shut down as well? How do you cope when that happens?
Yeah, it was a problem. People could not access us. Yeah, so stopped. And we had to go in. A lot of job seekers calling us, look, there is a deadline for the Safe Children, and I can't. And we had to call all the employer, look, internet is shut down, and wait for us. So, I mean, those things happen. Yeah, it was a problem.
Okay, we can have a short answer. How are you looking to take advantage of the program?
Actually, we're the direct beneficiary from it, because they're going to hire a lot of people. They're going to make it an initiative. Like I give you an example. A company, Hanikan, they bought a brewery called Harar Bira and Badelle. So Harar Bira is actually, both of them were our client. So we used to get 1 or 2 orders because they did not have the much of the business. They used to come to our job fair, okay, like that. But when Hanikan came in, I mean, every year they had like 600, 700 people, and they moved it, and so privatization, I think, is going to create a lot of employment. It's gonna be good. I mean, I know people say so many things, but I think privatization is the way to go.
Brilliant. Well, I feel we could go on all night, ladies and gentlemen. I do feel like we have to come to a close at some stage. So as we come to a close, I would love for you to just say one final word. Just around, this is a room full of people who are either starting businesses, started businesses, working with startups, or just in this space. And these are the people who are going to be creating many, many jobs. And so I feel there's a valuable group of people in the room here. And so if you had the opportunity to almost say one thing to them as they leave this place, what would you say as almost a final word or a commission?
Well, I'm going to say good luck. If you become a successful businessman, don't forget to call EthioJobs. We'll help you find the right talent.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. If you do have questions, maybe at the end you can come. But otherwise, just hand your feedback forms over on your way out. Be sure to connect with us online, Mella.org, to stay up to date with everything. We're active on Facebook with the videos. Do get involved with them. But otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming. Can we hear it one more time for Yusuf?